Anyways, welcome to Throw the Flag podcast. I'm here with Mike, Tyler, and a new one, Brian.
Yo, 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 yo. It's your boy.
And Brian, you can introduce yourself too.
What's up, dude? I'm pumping the bag over here.
Yeah, like the Ravens this year. It's all right though.
Come on.
Hey, we are actually closing out games now, so I don't want to hear that.
You need to close out
Yes, sir. I
contracts.
made a lot of money off y'all this last game, so I ain't mad at you.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with it. I should
Mad
bet.
at
I think it was that ring.
I'm glad we're closing out games. That a loss to the Texans would have hurt.
Yeah. If we would be able to close out a single game, every game that we played, we'd be undefeated right now.
That's every team
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, you're right, but we haven't trailed. We really haven't trailed all season long. We've had the lead in almost every game.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, if a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his ass when he jumped. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so today I want to talk about first is the best coach that the Colts have ever seen getting fired, Frank Reich.
I'm gonna let Brian take this
That's why
one.
I really wanted
Yeah,
Brian
I
here
think
today.
our guest is here for that exact question. Let's hear it.
Do you think it was the right move?
I believe. Let's back up. We got to get some backstory here. In 2018, the Colts went 4-12. It was the last year under Chuck Pagano, Chuck Strong. Uh, we hired Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator from the Patriots. He actually got on a plane, took his bitch ass down to Indianapolis, right? Landed, had a press conference set up. Hey, you're gonna have a press conference at 4 o'clock. He turned the plane around, went back to New England. I don't know what happened. I don't know if Bill Belichick promised him more money, this, that, and the other. But he was pried away from the Colts. So Frank
Sexual
Reich was
favor.
our second option. He was he was our second option. So Frank Reich at the beginning, just like with any new coach, you're like, okay, I like this guy. He was the offensive coordinator for the Super Bowl winning Colts, right? Like, okay, we can have a good offense. At the time, we had Andrew Luck. And I was like, yeah, match made in heaven. We went to the playoffs. We went 11-5, won a playoff game. Things looked great. I was like, okay, Andrew Luck can cover up a lot of things, but we had legitimately had a good offense. Um, Andrew Luck retires 2019 August, 9 days before the season starts. And that's a move that the Colts have not recovered from. The problem is at the same time we hired Frank Reich in 2018, we hired our new GM Chris Ballard. Chris Ballard is a very talented GM and he knows how to build a roster. It's a shame. It's the biggest what if I have as a Colts fan. As talented as this team is, if Andrew Luck was still here, we would win the Super Bowl every year, because that's literally the only piece. With the previous GM, when Andrew Luck would just get the shit beat out of him every week, and he would still carry the team to an 11-5 season, playoff wins, playoff comeback wins, AFC Championship games. And so we finally got a GM that was like, hey, we're going to build the offensive line, we're going to build a defensive line, we're going to get you some weapons. And we finally get that. Andrew Luck retires. So now we're left with a team that is good, like a solid 85 on Madden, offense, defense. But we don't know what to do with quarterback. We went with Jacoby Brissett that whole 2019 year because we had nothing to do. Like, holy shit, he retired 9 days before the season starts. So whatever. Look, the Colts should have addressed it right there. Unfortunately, we went 7-9. So we were just mediocre enough not to get a game-changing quarterback in the draft. So what do we do in 2020? We draft Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers takes us to the playoffs. We go 11-5. The roster is very good. We have a pretty good running game. Phillip Rivers retires. We get Carson Wentz. I like to call him Wild Card Wentz because you don't know what you're going to get with him, right? He is an absolute goofball. Horrible leader. I mean, I should have believed the rumors in Philadelphia where teammates said he's a bad leader. He does not respond well to coaching. But I just chalked it up that, hey, that he was when Carson Wentz was doing MVP things in 2017 for the Eagles, Frank Reich was his best friend. He's the person that got him drafted to Philadelphia second overall. He was the offensive coordinator when he was on his MVP run. I was like, well, yeah, hell yeah. Like this, maybe it just needs a fresh start. Philadelphia is not the easiest fan base for, you put 4 bad games of film on, they want you out of town. So I was like, okay, fresh start. And Carson Wentz, the game tape says he only threw 7 interceptions on the season. That man threw 50 interceptions. The DBs didn't catch him. He threw them right at him. I mean, I remember last year I went to go see them week 2 in Indy against the Rams, and I think he threw 7 interceptions that game. I think he probably threw 1 on the stat sheet, but man, Jalen Ramsey just dropped some, or it was tipped just the wrong way. It was bad. This year we go in with Matt Ryan. A little less excited about it because, believe it or not, in high school, there was a receiver by the name of Braylon Cherry that played for the New Bern Bears. He went on to play with NC State. He didn't quite make it in the league. He was in training camp with the Falcons in 2014-2015 timeframe. And at the time, they had Julio Jones. They had Rodney White, I believe was his name. I can't remember the always other receiver. They had Tony Gonzalez. They had a pretty stacked team back in the mid to early 2010s. And I remember I was talking to him a few years ago, probably 2019, and he was telling me about his time on the training camp, catching passes for Matt Ryan. He goes, Matt Ryan has no zip on the ball. He goes, he's got a noodle arm, and this was in 2014. Like, he's been in the league 6 years at that time, so it's not like he's 37 years old like he is now. And he's like, dude, that like, I'm waiting on this ball. This ball is so slow. Like, it is just, there's no oomph on it. It's he's got to really be ahead of the curve to get the ball there on time. And that's like, when he went on to win an MVP in 2016, Matt Ryan did. So, it was mostly due to Kyle Shanahan and his offensive coordinator skills. But I'm not excited about having Matt Ryan this year, but whatever. He's a good leader, whatever. We kind of had no choice. Matt Ryan stinks. When he was benched, he led the league in interceptions, fumbles lost, any turnover category you can think of, he led the league in. So, as far as Frank Reich, he finished with a winning record, believe it or not. I think he finished 40-33 or something like that. Frank Reich, I've been calling for his job for about a year and a half now, mainly because I've seen enough football to know that when it's 3rd and 1 and it's 4th and 1 and you're gonna go for it, you probably shouldn't line up in shotgun with your Naeem Hines and run it up the middle. Like, get Jonathan Taylor in there and go under center with a fullback with a full head of steam, like every other fucking team in the NFL. He would choose it would be the right call. Hey, we should go for a 4th down. Yes, but it would always be the wrong play call. And then he would have the wrong play call it would be vice versa. And it's just the most frustrating thing to see. And for the past 2 years, the Indianapolis Colts are the worst first half team in football. Like, if there's a way to bet, there is on FanDuel at least, where you can bet which team's going to win the first half. If they're playing the Colts, that team, I don't care if they're the worst offense of all time, they're going to have the lead going into half. And it's not good. And we would start seasons 1-5. Like the year we went to the playoffs with Andrew Luck, we started the season 1-5, and we went on to win we won 9 straight and went like 11-5 or 10-6 to win a playoff game. But that's just a characteristic that is not sustainable for long term. So I'm glad to see him gone. He's a good dude. He's a great guy. Very devout Christian man, almost to a fault, I think, like, because it kind of takes some of the edge out of things, and his press conferences were all the same. So there's that. as far as Jeff Saturday being the head coach, when we have Gus Bradley, who was been a head coach before, John Fox. I mean, he led the Panthers to a Super Bowl appearance, and he led the Broncos to a Super Bowl appearance, and he was the head coach for the Bears for a while. Like someone who has head coaching experience, we have him on the staff. We have Bobby Ventrone, who is our special teams coordinator, who has already had looks at being a head coach. So you would think you would give him a trial run to see what he's like, to maybe just give him promoting in house, for the future. We have Reggie Wayne. Like if you're going to go former player that was from the golden age of the Colts from the 2000s, we already have a Reggie Wayne who is a wide receiver coach for us. Jeff Saturday, I mean, he's a great leader. Every person I've listened to about 7-8 different mainstream. Everybody speaks glowingly of Jeff Saturday. I mean, he was a Pro Bowl center for all those years under Peyton and Aaron Rodgers. He's a great leader. He was the NFLPA's president that negotiated the lockout deal back in 2011. So great leader. It just he's coached in high school. That's it. So this is the first time since 1961 that someone has been hired to be a head coach or an interim head coach who has never coached in college or in the NFL at any level. It doesn't matter if it's a position coach, a offensive assistant, none of that. And to do it on a Monday, 5 days before you have a game, not even on a bye week, we're just doing it.
So let me ask you something. Why do you think they made that call?
So there are the Jim Irsay, flat out. This is a Jim Irsay call because I watched the 35-minute press conference, Monday night when all this shit was going down, and Jim Irsay literally called him in the middle of the Patriots game on Sunday where they were getting their ass handed to them, and said, "Hey, how can we fix this offensive line thing?" Like he's calling a former player that he trusts, that's in the Ring of Honor, that he associates Jeff Saturday with good times. He won a Super Bowl with him, this, that, and the other. Hey, what's going on with this line? Because that has been our biggest disappointment in the season. It's not quarterback play. It's not defense. It's not Jonathan Taylor missing games. It's the offensive line that is absolutely abysmal. And none of us are probably ever going to be GMs in the NFL. But let me give you a tip. The Colts have 3 offensive linemen that are in the top 100. Like in the top 100 players they do every year with NFL Network that are voted on by players and all that good stuff. We have 3 players that are voted on the offensive line. So you would think, wow, this offensive line's got to be very good. And you would be wrong, because what has happened is we have a elite left guard in Quentin Nelson. We've got a Pro Bowl center in Ryan Kelly, and we've got a Pro Bowl right guard in Brandon Smith. But we pretty much put a 6th-round pick at left tackle, the most important position on an offensive line. And we've got some lackey, some undrafted free agent at right tackle. And it's better to have 5 average linemen than have 3 elite and 2 shitty, because all it takes is one of them to miss a block and the play's blown up. So I'd rather have 5 average, just even this out, than have 3 top 100 offensive linemen. And that's something that Chris Ballard, that's his biggest glaring mark, is not being able to address the quarterback position for long term. I'm tired of paying these 40-year-old, 37-year-old, 29-year-old quarterbacks $30 to $40 million a year, and they're here for a year and they stink.
So you don't think, like, okay, with the quarterback issue, I understand that's an issue, but you don't think it's play calling or, just the I mean, I know you said it's the offensive line, so you don't think it's play calling? Play calling don't got anything to do with that?
So when we dial up the right play call, the offensive line stinks. When the offensive line stinks and we have a good play call, they cancel each other out. So I would place the blame 60% on Frank Reich and his play calling and his coaching and his willingness to adapt and understand the weaknesses and strength of his roster. Because I think he just creates plays and game plans in a vacuum where it's like, hey, everything's gonna work perfectly. And if when they do, man, the Colts are good. But when they don't go good, they go bad. And so I put 60% on Frank Reich, and I put 30% on Chris Ballard, and I put 10% on luck. Just absolute sheer luck, both in the literal sense and Andrew luck, and then 10%, 10% of just shitty luck.
So why do you think that Jonathan Taylor isn't having the year that he had last year? That's coaching.
So health is definitely the first thing. I mean, week 1, he had 31 carries for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he was his normal self. That's my biggest gripe with Frank Reich and his play calling. He gets hot and cold with Jonathan Taylor. Like, I think there was a stat when Jonathan Taylor gets 15 carries or more, we're like, 16-1. When he gets less, then we're like 2-14 or something crazy like that. And so week 2, week 3, week 4, I could pull up the stats. He got like 9 carries. He got 11 carries, and he was healthy. And it's not like we got so far behind in the game script where we had to just throw it 50 times. Like there was a week 3, I don't remember who we played. Matt Ryan at 37 with his noodle arm threw the ball 62 times. I wish I was lying, but he threw the ball 62 times. Just for everyone's understanding, that an average offense in a game will get 70 snaps.
Wow.
So when you're dropping back behind the offensive line that is probably not going to keep Matt Ryan upright, why are we throwing it 62 times? You know how you help out your offensive line? You run the ball, because pass protection requires everybody to be on the same page. Run blocking, you have to be on the same page, yes, but you can just kind of will your way through shit. Like there's no stunts. It just literally put a body on a body and just hope for the best. So, and that also slows the game down, allows Jonathan Taylor. Derrick Henry never has. You know why Derrick Henry's so deadly? Besides the fact that he's 6'2" and 250 and runs a 4.4.
A linebacker.
It's because Mike Vrabel understands, because he played linebacker for the New England Patriots when they were at their first dynasty. He understands that I don't want to tackle Derrick Henry in the fourth quarter. So when you just beat them into submission, 25 carries, 30 carries, the defense, he's going to break them, because the defense is just tired of running it and trying to tackle Derrick Henry. It's exhausting. And when you have an elite back like Jonathan Taylor, we just never get to that, and we just commit to it. And I would say 2 weeks ago, Jonathan Taylor was averaging 9 yards a carry. He got 7 carries in the game for 55 yards. How does that make any fucking sense? He's getting 9 yards a carry. And it wasn't like he broke, it wasn't like he got 6 carries for 6 yards and then he broke one for 50. No, every single time they handed him the ball, he was falling forward 4 yards. So what are we doing? Like, what the actual hell are we doing?
Yeah,
not giving him the ball.
And then on top of that,
Carolina's boat and just run them to death.
Yeah, and then on top of that, when you run around, another thing with the Titans, how you said them, also people are so scared to let Henry run all over them. They commit to that run, then it opens up for the play action and other stuff like that. Just like Baltimore, we run a lot, but at the same time, most of our touchdowns are coming off of play action. I think you said that a couple years ago. Yeah. A lot of our touchdowns come off of play action. Same thing with the Titans and stuff like that, and it opens up for the play action. So, do you feel that if y'all were running a lot more with JT, that y'all would actually, win more games?
It makes no sense to me. And then Naeem Hines, we just traded him to the Buffalo Bills. He averaged probably 5 touches a game, but he would always get the weird. He would run at weird times. Like, we didn't utilize him correctly. Like, put him on a screen. Put him in the slot. Like, this man can run a 4.3, can catch the ball, shifty. He's been a punt returner. I remember 3 years ago against the Panthers, he returned 2 punts to the house. Like, I mean, just an absolute machine. And we don't use him and when you look at him in fantasy, you'll see one game where he has 20 points, and then the next game he'll have 2 points, and then maybe 5 points, and then boom, he'll go off for 16, 17 points, and then 3 points. And it makes no sense. Like, it's just Frank Reich not knowing how to use them, because he would use them, but he would use them at the wrong time. Like I said, on 4th and 1, we don't want the 190-pound running back going up the middle. Like, if you're going to get him on the field, try to get him on the edge. Get him on a toss crack. Get him on a halfback stretch out to the edge so he can just outrun the linebacker. Like, do that. Instead, we run him up the middle and just put Jonathan Taylor in there. Quarterback sneak it. And if you're going to run it, don't run it out of a fucking shotgun. You got to run 6 yards before you get to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, run out of eye or like teeth, like
something like give me a power O to the right, or run behind Quentin Nelson. He's the best left guard in the league. Like,
or do
what are we doing?
We use Pat Ricard for a lot of like 4th and 1 plays, because at the end of the day, he's a 300 freaking pound fullback, and you really ain't gonna stop him unless you really slam that line of scrimmage.
So
that was a good speech.
With that being said, my fear for the rest of the season for the Colts is that Jeff Saturday, despite not having no coaching experience, we're having a 30-year-old who's been an assistant coach his whole life, never called a play in his life ever at any level, is going to be calling plays at the NFL level on Sunday. Despite all that, right now I think we pick we picked 14 right now in the draft. Obviously, more teams are going to – these 3-win teams are going to win more games. So, we'll probably get down to 7, 6 in the draft order, things like that. But my fear is, and it's going to make me sick to my stomach when this happens, we'll win a game or 2, maybe 3 over the next 9 weeks that we're not supposed to. And we'll finish with 6 wins and we'll be picking 11th. And that's just outside the range you need to be able to draft a quarterback without giving up picks in the future to get yourself up there. Yeah, and then we're just on this carousel again.
Yeah, because, quarterbacks are hot this season. And then on top of that, if I was just Saturday, I'd be picking plays from Madden this week.
Yep.
Okay, but I see what you're saying about first-round picks high up. I mean, that's obviously gold. But look at people that have been drafted late in the – Tom Brady, for God's sake. He wasn't a first overall pick. So, you could still find some gold deep in the draft.
Man, Jalen Hurts was round 2.
Yeah, but if I want a Bryce Young or a C.J. Stroud or something like that, or that kid out of Carolina or the kid out of Kentucky,
they going early.
Yeah, they're going pick number 4, right? So
especially this year.
It could end up being a situation with like RG3 where he was hot. What did he ever do? You don't always them first overall quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot, but I would there would be so much more optimism around the team, knowing that, hey, we do have a good defense. Like, legitimately, we have a top 10, top 12 defense, stopping the run, stopping the pass. We got great linebackers. Legitimately a very good defense. And we have a good running game. If we can get a quarterback of the future and then just trade for a left tackle, and then draft a right tackle in the second round, or trade back up into the first round, we gotta do something. I understand there's so many different things that you can do in each off season, right? You can't really do it all one swoop, but we've spent a lot of money. We have the highest paid offensive line in the league, and we're allowing the most sacks in the league. Sam Ehlinger on Sunday got sacked 9 times, and he's mobile. He can get around. It's not like it's not like Matt Ryan being a statue back there. He got sacked 9 times.
Yeah,
so
I don't know about that one, because I don't know. Joe Shiesty back there getting demolished. I think his worst rivalry is his offensive line, because if I was the Bengals head coach, I would start taking snaps and punt formation to give Joe Burrow a couple extra seconds.
Yeah, and that's they did a good job, at least attempting to pay. They understood, hey, if Joe Burrow has the ball for half a second longer in the Super Bowl, they win that thing, because Jamar Chase was wide open on that 4th and 1. and he was dropping back to throw that ball. Aaron Donald is Aaron Donald, and blew up the line. But if you can just hold him for half a second longer, they win that Super Bowl, cut and dry.
Oh yeah, most definitely. When I see Joe, like when we play the Bengals, or like if I ever see like highlights, if that man has a lot more time than he normally get, he is a top 5 quarterback at most. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, he has no time in the ball. Yeah, and he still goes for 300, 400 yards passing. So if he had
Yeah,
some serious time in that pocket, that man will be a monster.
and here's what I don't understand: like they looked, the Bengals looked horrible on against the Browns on prime time. And then they go out and it's 21-0 against Carolina and 6 minutes into the game. It's like I feel like Joe Burrow is pretty streaky. Like he's
He'll go out
good.
and have a good
He's
game.
gonna be a good quarterback every week. But some weeks he's good, some weeks he's great, and maybe that is the protection. Maybe they decided that hey, Joe Mixon does exist and we probably should put him on our try to run him like they did for 5 touchdowns. But he's I talked to I have one of my best friends up here. He's in the Navy. He's a Bengals fan, and I gave him shit. I'm like, hey Joe, if you keep this up with Joe Burrow, he's gonna pull Andrew Luck on your ass and just retire at 29. Saying I'm tired of getting hit. I'm tired of lacerating my kidney. Things like that. Like that was something that happened with Andrew Luck. Like Andrew Luck had so many injuries that he literally said, I am just tired of the mental fatigue of having to rehab all the time.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I would be too. I'll be tired.
And
I know
on
he
top of
already
that, Andrew
tired of
Luck,
it.
yeah, and on top of that, Andrew Luck graduated from Stanford, as an architect major, and that's his actual no shit. He enjoys doing that. So, the Colts paid him $150 million over his career. He gets to get out at 29, live the rest of his life, start a family, and go be an architect. That's
Yeah, he
exactly
had a
what he's
backup
doing
plan.
right now.
He had a
Yeah,
backup plan. That's
like
what most.
this man said,
Yeah,
I'm gonna get the bag right quick, and then I'll see y'all. Never.
like at the end of the day, I was smart though. That's where a lot of players mess up because I know making the NFL, you're gonna make a good money over your career, whether you play for 3 or 4 years. But at the end of the day, you never know. You can go in your rookie year and bust your knee so bad where you can never play again. So at the end of the day, he did it the
Yeah.
smart way.
So I don't fault him. I get that it's gotten to the point where the Colts can't use Andrew Luck retiring anymore. Obviously, he retired in 2019. We've had 4 drafts to figure this out, and we keep on patching it because we do have a good team, but you just need you need a good to great quarterback like Kirk Cousins. Is he going to win a Super Bowl this year? Possibly, but he's got to be clutch, and he's got to be clutch in the prime time, and that's when Kirky Cousins always folds. But here is something different that we need to take into account when we're thinking about the Vikings. Are they for real or not? This whole career, since he's been with the Vikings, he was under Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer him did not see eye to eye. Mike Zimmer was a defensive coach, so he got the offensive coordinator from the Rams. They finally are taking Kirk Cousins' inputs on what the team should look like, and actually incorporating Kirk Cousins into decision making on game plans and things like that. And look, they're 7-1, so they do have a talented team, but just a small coaching change can take the same player and make him top 20 to a top 12.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes it does revolve around coaching. Like last year when we were hurt, I mean, we were losing games when Lamar got out, but at the end of the day, we weren't losing by much. Like we lost 3 weeks in a row by a total of like 3 points. And at the end of the day, Brandon's the one that said it. I mean, it's coaching. Yeah, we were deep into the depth chart, but at the end of the day, sometimes coaching is all you got to do. And John Harbaugh was a great coach, if not one of the greatest of all time. So at the end of the day, yeah, it does revolve around coaching. See, my fear is, don't get me wrong, if he goes to another team, I am okay with that. But my fear is we're gonna be in the same situation as y'all if we cannot pay Lamar his money. That is
Here's my stance on Lamar with him in regards to being paid. The Browns fucked you. They screwed the NFL over, but they screwed that division. because they guaranteed $230 million to Deshaun Watson, who has 26 cases. He's suspended for 11 games. He's got all this baggage and negative attention brought to the Browns, and
And
he got
Lamar
paid
feels that he wants
230
that type of
million
money. Yeah,
guaranteed at signing. So
yeah.
so and if you're the Browns, sure, you got your quarterback, and you're kind of used to being shown in the media in a negative light because you're the Browns. But you
Shalom.
really screwed your division because Joe Burrow's got to get paid in that division. Lamar Jackson's got to get paid in that division. And you set the bar damn near doubled the traditional guaranteed amount for a quarterback that
Especially, yeah. Especially
that
one who
that
hasn't
it is.
played last season. He missed all of last
Yeah,
season, so yeah. And then on
yeah,
top of
and
that, when
you
he
don't
did
even know if
play in
he's
the
still good. Like,
yeah,
I mean, there's definitely some things on that offense with the Cleveland that he needs to massage out, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. It'll be a happy ending, I promise.
Hell yeah, that's why we have you here.
So he'll bring his own towel. Don't worry. But
so here's my
yeah,
question though.
Lamar
I do
Jackson.
got a good question. I do got a good question.
What's up?
If you don't if you didn't if they didn't pay Watson that type of money, do you think Lamar would have accepted that offer we offered? It was like 140 million
Most definitely,
guaranteed.
because
And
that 133 million guaranteed $250 million contract would have been the going rate. But you never, especially since Lamar's negotiating himself, you never go backwards in the market. It's always you never notice when a contract is broke. It doesn't matter the position. It could be offensive line, defensive line, corner, wide receiver, quarterback. Doesn't matter. It's the highest one in NFL history, and it's on every single one. Because if I'm an agent, if Jalen Ramsey got paid 20 million a year, and I've got another corner that's considered in that same realm, he's gonna get 21 a year, right?
yeah,
And then when it's time for the next corner to come up next year, who's in that same realm, he's gonna get paid 22 million. He's gonna get 23 million. So like the salary cap rises, so it allows that to happen. But there was such to every other position, there's small incremental jumps. A million a year here, a million a year there, maybe 2 million. For a position. You know, but
or
when
like
you
you
do
said,
when you do what you did with Deshaun Watson, and you damn near double the market, not the total money, because the total money is just the fact that it's guaranteed. In the NBA, contracts are guaranteed, right? Because there's only 11, 13 players on a roster. At that, they've got and their star powers, since there's so few of them, and they hold a lot more power in their negotiating power. So their shit's guaranteed. And you're starting to see it. Kirk Cousins was the first one to really get it done. Where when he signed initially with the Vikings, it was a 2-year, $84 million, or 3-year, $84 million guaranteed contract. So that, because you like Patrick Mahomes' contract is like $502 million, right, over 10
even
years.
all that ain't
Which you
guaranteed.
can just, but I think only 200. Some of that is guaranteed. I say only very, very, very lightly, because that's still a lot of fucking money. But that's $250 million. But the rest is contingent on him being on the roster over that 10 years, and workout bonuses, things that he most definitely on this current track will earn. But it's like
Yeah,
nothing's guaranteed except what was signed at signing. So
yeah.
I
And then even
I
after
I
the
I, I side with Lamar Jackson. Go get your money, man. Especially the style quarterback in which he plays. You want your money guaranteed,
oh yeah,
because
most
all it
definitely.
takes is one bad jump cup. I mean, any quarterback can get hurt on any play, but when you're actively putting 10 to 15 carries on your body, you know, a week, or then you want to guarantee that money.
Yeah, and
Lamar
on
And
top of that,
33 is a prime example of that.
that's just an ACL
yeah,
waiting to tear. Which don't get me wrong, when Lamar
yeah,
got hurt last year, he was in the pocket. Yes, he was scrambling, but he was in the pocket. But at the same time, I understand Lamar's point, but I also understand the Ravens' point as a business, because at the same time, you're right. With his style of play, his risk of getting hurt doubles. Because you see a lot of mobile quarterbacks get hurt, and afterwards they really ain't where they need to be. I mean, You see it though, a lot of mobile quarterbacks at the same time. So I understand from both sides, but don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
The
trust me,
bet,
it makes sense.
yeah, the better Lamar does, his price might even go up. But at the same time, like I
Yeah,
said, you see it from the business standpoint too. Is at the end of the day, they might love you. That team might love you. That team might really want you to be there. But at the end of the day, they're looking at it as a business standpoint. Like, oh, will he stay hurt with this ample amount of time, or will he stay healthy this ample amount of time, or will he go and get hurt? And obviously that all that guaranteed money, they're basically just throwing it away. But don't get me wrong, I trust in Lamar. Number 8, I do believe that we're going to come with the contract, and if we don't, I'm still happy for him. He, at the end of the day, you gotta chase your money.
I've got a theory for you. One, I'm gonna throw at you and see if it sticks about the Ravens.
What's up?
Traditionally, when you make someone the highest paid player at the position, which happens every time you give a new player a new contract at that position, it's looked at from the organization standpoint of why'd you do that? Like, because right now, if this stuff wasn't drawn out, people would be like, and Lamar got hurt, man, people would be blasting the Ravens. How dare you? How could you? We told you that he was a running back. We told you this, that, and the other. Blah 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 blah. And they would be coming after the Ravens. Like, how could you give them all this money? And had a career-ending, injury 2 years into this 6-year deal. When you draw it out like this, now everybody's like, pay this man his money. What are we doing? What are we doing, Baltimore? Pay this man his money. And now when you inevitably, hopefully, pay him, everyone's like, oh, thank you, Baltimore, for paying him. Like, the system worked. He bet on himself and it worked. So if Lamar were to get that same career-ending injury 2 years into that 6-year deal, they'd be like, oh, at least Lamar got his money. They wouldn't be, bashing Baltimore because of that same scenario.
Yeah,
So it being drawn out kind of shifts the blame. If something were unfortunately to happen to Lamar Jackson, the blame would go away from the Ravens from a perception standpoint, because literally everybody is saying pay this man his money.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And don't get me wrong, I think he's worth every penny that whatever we decide to come up. Now, don't get me wrong, I do think that if the Browns did not sign Watson to that deal, Lamar probably would have took that $133 million guaranteed. But at the end of the day, you're right. Deshaun Watson and the Browns screwed the rest of the AFC North because now Lamar is asking for that type of money. Do I think he's worth it? Yeah. But at the same time,
Now, and
from the
here's
Ravens,
something weird too. Like, if I'm Baltimore, they probably already have if nobody else signed this offseason outside of Deshaun Watson, I think they probably could have got a deal done. Baltimore would probably have caved in. But what happened over the summer? Kyler Murray got a new deal, right? And it was 160 million guaranteed for 4 years, 5 years, whatever. So Baltimore, if I'm Baltimore, I'm pointing to that. Hey, Deshaun Watson was an anomaly. Like, Kyler Murray obviously has not won an MVP, has not won a playoff game, but on the same level of quarterbacks, I'm not sure which quarterback I would take, but it'd be close. They're both very good quarterbacks, right? And same thing with Russell Wilson. Before we knew Russell Wilson was going to be, dangerous, and absolutely garbage in Denver, we were expecting him to be, Seattle Russell
tier.
Wilson.
Yeah.
He got 235 million, but only 180 of it guaranteed. So if I'm Baltimore, I'm like, hey, Russell Wilson's won a Super Bowl. He's been to another. He's had career success. Look at his contract. He's only getting 180 million guaranteed. Look at Kyler Murray. He's a young, upcoming player just like you. He got 160 million guaranteed. Deshaun Watson is kind of like the really outlier, and that's Baltimore's kind of digging their heels into that. So
most definitely. Another thing too, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah. But see, the thing about the Ravens, like if I was Lamar Jackson, right? Like if I was Lamar, I would go up, take my MVP trophy to the front office, and ask them, "Where is Deshaun Watson's and Kyler Murray's?" and slam that thing right on the table. And I would say, "Yes, I need my money."
I agree, Mikey. I'm gonna get off my soapbox and let you take back over this little thing here.
Oh, no, that's
I know you got some topics ready for us. I can go all day. I can talk about every fan base
that was
in depth. So
that was just for the Colts.
I know. I know. We ended up talking about Lamar and
yeah.
betting the Bengals and all that. So
Hey man, it's entertaining, but I wanted to add to the Colts one. I do feel like the Colts should pick a coach from within because firsthand myself, like witnessing myself, Nick Sirianni is a great coach. So
and that that is another point. When Frank Reich became the head coach, he did hire a good staff because we had Matt Eberflus as our defensive coordinator, who is now the head coach for the Bears. Nick Sirianni, who was the quarterback coach for the Philadelphia Eagles when they went on that Super Bowl run, came to Indy to be the offensive coordinator, and he goes back to Philadelphia to be the head coach. And you could tell that Frank Reich surrounded himself like you don't always have to be the smartest person in the room. You just got to be able to surround your people with smart people at whatever they're doing. And I think we kind of undervalued the loss of Nick Sirianni and Matt Eberflus because Frank Reich can't do it by himself, and that's shown itself over the past 2 years.
right, and that kind of reminded me of when Frank Reich left Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson was a good coach.
Yeah.
I still feel like he is, but for the Eagles, he kind of lost that touch when we lost our people after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like it's more than just a head coach; it's a coaching staff. It's a
Right.
because and when you guys won a Super Bowl, you had Doug Peterson, who was a good coach. You had Frank Reich, who was a good coach. As your offensive coordinator, and you had Nick Sirianni as your quarterback coach. Like, what the actual hell? Like, you had three head coaches right there.
And don't forget my guy Jim Schwartz, probably one of the most
Yeah.
aggressive defensive coordinators I've seen.
All the most aggressive defensive coordinator of all time. Him, Wade Phillips, and Greg Williams.
Right. So, my next one was the Bears. So, obviously, like they're definitely not looking like a playoff team, like obviously, but the fact that they could put up 29 points on the Cowboys and keep up scoring with the Dolphins. I mean, how long before they are actually a playoff team? Like they're pretty close to in my eyes. Juan, Tyler, Brian.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I know. I think did Brian leave already?
No.
No, I'm here. I'm here. I didn't want to. I'll go first, and we'll see if everybody agrees. Justin Fields is finally showing some growth. I think it started with the New England game three weeks ago, where he kind of put the team on his back, and I think the offense is starting to understand his strengths. Hey, get him on the move. Like, I feel like that should have been common sense. Justin Fields is a great athlete. Probably should get him, on a naked bootleg, on a play action, this, that, and the other. But he has actually legitimately grown as a thrower and as a runner. And I think it's, he's strung 3 or 4 good games in a row here. And Bears are a team I don't want to play. Like, if I see the Bears, probably at the beginning of the season, I'm like, oh yeah, it's probably gonna be an easy win. Now I'm scared to death because Matt Eberflus has got a good defense. I know they lost Roquan Smith, and he's a stud, and he's leading the league in tackles. Now he's with Baltimore, just absolutely Ray Lewising it up. But he's definitely a great linebacker. But that defense is still good. They got some playmakers. Matt Eberflus is a great defensive coordinator, and he's a good head coach. But I think the offensive side is finally starting to get their groove with the game plan and game feel and utilizing Justin Fields. I mean, his 61-yard run, he kept his eyes downfield that whole time. Like, he was very shifty, and he just out-accelerated everybody. And that just goes to show his physical gifts that you can't coach. But he does everything that you want out of a scrambling quarterback. He kept his eyes downfield, which is what you want to see. But he was still able to get that off. Like, hey, no one's open. All right, time to get out of here and make a play. And that's happening more often, and it's happening more consistently. Mooney is a great receiver, kind of marred because of the fact that they only throw the ball like 15 to 20 times a game. Same with they just got Chase Claypool. We'll see how well he integrates into the offense. I mean, if Chase Claypool can return to his rookie year level, then I mean it's a great steal for them.
Dude, against Philly,
most definitely.
He's the only reason the Steelers scored.
Yeah. But see, I was telling Mike earlier. I said the Bears. Yes, they're actually starting to find rhythm and stuff. And Justin Fields, you're right. They need to start playing to his strengths. Like I said, when we drafted Lamar, we were putting him in his rookie year, a bunch of options and shit. And then we ended up, catering our offense to around Lamar, which I think that's what they need to do to Justin Fields. Because once they get him, like, even if he can run option plays or, like you said, bootleg, and if no one's open, he can always take off when he's on the run. So at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, they need to start playing to their strengths because the Bears are not as bad as their record. I'm gonna say that again. Like the other guy said at one time, they're like the Lions. They're not as bad as people make them out to be. Of course, their record doesn't show up. At the end of the day, a few fixes on their offense and play calling, they're gonna be a playoff team, no doubt.
I think that Lions one was more of a week 4 thing. Lions are bad.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. The Bears are not that bad. I mean, a couple play calling adjustments and you know put more weapons around, which they did get Claypool. And I do want to see how he does when he's fully into the offense. So at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, this is next season. You better watch out because the Bears will be in the playoffs.
I think Justin Fields answered the question. So his rookie year last year, Matt Nagy last year, kind of a wash, right? They kept on putting Nick Foles in. They had Andy Dalton on, like going back and forth between them, never really committing to him, right? So when you fire your coach and your GM, and you get a new head coach and new GM, and you didn't draft this quarterback, you have no allegiance to you. Nobody will blame you for saying whatever. You're probably talented, but not for us. But I think Justin Fields has done enough so far this year to go, hey, this is a guy we can build around, give him a third year, give him a fourth year, and figure out, hey, we've got it solved. Let's go surround him. Let's get him they got a pretty decent running game. Let's get him a better offensive line. Let's get him a true number one in the like that. No shit will allow Mooney and Claypool to really feed if you can get a true number one out there. Yeah, I just think it answers that question. We're not going to be sitting here in April saying, "Oh, the Bears definitely need to draft a quarterback." Which, if you would have projected out probably from week one, you probably would have said yes. They're probably looking for a quarterback, especially with a new head coach, first year, and GM that have no allegiance to him whatsoever.
Thing is, that's just a tough division. Just throw a quarterback in and be like, "Hey, we need you to win games and get us into the playoffs." Like,
yeah, go. We need you to go duel against Aaron Rodgers and go Kirky Chains over there.
Yeah, we need you to win the Super Bowl by next week. Oh man, I get it. Like I said, Fields is not a bad quarterback. He's just in a pretty tough division, especially right now. So I mean, I don't see him making playoffs this year, but next year they're gonna be coming hot.
So with all that being said, do we discredit the Cowboys' defense for 29 points on them?
Yeah.
No, I mean, Dan Quinn's a good defensive coordinator. They've got some really good play. I mean, Michael Parsons probably gonna be defensive player of the year if I had to put money on it. Really, I mean, just you have to game plan for him. Where is 11 lined up every single snap? Because he could be dropping back in a pass, picking you off. He could be blowing up your running back. He could be sacking your quarterback. He's faster than you. He's stronger than you. He's smarter than you.
We just took him out our game plan.
Hey, like TJ Watt, imagine playing against him. Is he gonna be busting you up all game, or is he at least? I mean, because there ain't no stopping that man. I mean,
I would have really loved to see that matchup against Philadelphia, man. I really would have.
Yeah, there is no stopping that man. Like, is he sacking your quarterback 5 times that day? I mean, like, really? I mean, huh?
Maybe 6.
Maybe 6. I mean, is he? I mean, for real, like that man is almost impossible to stop. I mean, you can kind of slow him down, but he is going to get to that quarterback one way or the other. Whether it's getting pressure, because I can't remember who I was talking to, but the Steelers. I know their defense, obviously there's more players around it, but obviously next man up. But when you got a man like TJ Watt, and the reason it makes their defense so good is because TJ Watt, even if he doesn't get a sack, that pressure is still there. So it forces quarterbacks to make stupid throws, and obviously those throws lead to interceptions or sometimes the incompletions because he's in your face all freaking game. So that's why their defense is so good.
Right, and that's why I said what I said in the group chat with TJ Watt. He's gonna have the Saints going through all their starting quarterbacks trying to figure out who the heck's gonna do something. I mean, the Ravens had them going through Taysom Hill and Andy Dalton the whole game. Like,
yeah, I know. And we was Justin Houston.
Real stat alert. the Pittsburgh Steelers over the past 4 years with T.J. Watt playing have been top 3 in sacks every year. This year, the Steelers are 27th. Coincidence?
Oh
No.
yeah, most that ain't no.
Uh-oh.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's the truth. I mean, at the end of the day, T.J. Watt's gonna bust that
Because
quarterback.
he opens up things for other people too. Like Cam Hayward has a chance. He's going to get single blocked now because you got to
Yeah,
worry about chipping and putting 2 people on T.J. Watt. Now you got single opportunities, and you more often than not you should be able to win that.
yeah, most definitely. And on top of that, like I said, even if he doesn't get the sack, he is still in your face enough to where the quarterback is going to make a stupid. Unless you're like really, trained for like you're, obviously a freaking vet or something like that. You've been in the league for a couple years. Even he makes them make stupid decisions. So at the end of the day, he is going to force that whether he gets a sack or not, he's going to end up forcing that quarterback to make stupid throws.
And I've never discredited T.J. Watt. I've just devalued some guy named Turn Down for Watt. I've just devalued his excuses for losing, because it's always the next man up
Yeah,
mentality. You got to win games.
Unless you're picking up people from Walmart like we did last year.
true.
Yeah, we're picking up freaking. I have a feeling like John Harbaugh went to the nearest local Walmart and said, "Hey man, you play corner? I know you play corner. Like you played a snap in high school. We need you out there, man."
I think there's more problems in Pittsburgh than T.J. Watt, though, because that offense, I feel like, should definitely not be going through Najee Harris.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, yeah. At the same time, but at
Well,
the end of
their
the day,
offensive line stinks. Matt Canada is from he's doing a high school freaking playbook, like some yeah. Watching a
Madden
Pittsburgh Steelers
rookie.
offensive drive is the most frustrating. I thought watching Colts, offensive series is bad. I watched the Steelers out there. I'm like, what are we doing? I watched the Steelers Brown game on prime time and I knew they ran 3 plays. They ran a comeback route. They ran a curl, and they've got a tight end flat or a running back flat route. That is it. There's nothing else in that. Not a thing. Long gone are the days of Big Ben just lighting it up for 500 yards. Like, there's a reason why when they're in 2-minute offense, they do much better than when they script plays.
And the
They
problem
need to
is
score
they
that thing.
have the weapons to go deep, but they don't.
They do.
Yeah, they need to start.
They
Especially
really
George
do.
Pickens. George Pickens is playing like that.
Dude, he was Molson Bradbury every play. Just they couldn't get a call to go their way for them to get the
So
ball.
I say send that man 20, 30 yards up the field and see what he can do. I mean, they obviously ain't making the playoffs this year. So since they're not gonna make the playoffs, I figured, hey, why not try some
Or
shit? Why not throw some new plays in there? Why not, start trying stuff so when next season come around, you have a better game plan for next season. It's like for teams that aren't doing well, instead of like, obviously you want to win. You don't want to lose. Nobody want to lose. Nobody like losers. But at the same time, like those teams that aren't doing well, that's when you start trying stuff. So for when the following season come along, you got a better offensive game plan. Obviously the schedule ain't the same, but you still got a better offensive game plan than what you did this season. See what plays work, see what plays don't work. Do rotation, see what players do good, and see what players don't.
I have to disagree. Some teams do like losing. Look at the Panthers. They traded McCaffrey away. Okay.
Tyler, you want to say anything? Dang, Tyler went dark.
He just unmuted,
Hey,
huh?
he's too busy putting on his helmet back on.
Yeah. Depression, man. Depression.
He's putting that helmet back on so he doesn't get a penalty.
Oh, which I think was a weak penalty, by the
It
way.
was.
I think it
It
was
was.
stupid. I think that was stupid. The penalties are just getting horrible. Man, if you don't lay that quarterback down with a pillow and a blanket, it's a roughing the passer.
I was roughing the passer all day. Yeah.
I'm telling you, still the best taunt I've seen all year was definitely AJ Brown to the Steelers though. When he
When he
got
was pointing them out.
his third touchdown. But let's keep.
Oh yeah, most.
Oh yeah,
you.
I
Oh yeah,
loved it,
most
man.
definitely.
Watching them double cover him the whole night and still couldn't do nothing. I loved it, but I wanted to talk about the Jets too. How
Sauce
do they
Gardner
win
is like
that game?
Sauce Gardner is him.
Yeah, but like still 205 passing yards on the defense. They just didn't allow
Yeah,
a
but
touchdown.
uh, all that has to do with other guys. Like I said before, I could be the best corner on the team, where the quarterback still throws 300 passing yards and I ain't on my side. What can I do about it? I mean, at the same time, I'm with Brian. Yes, you got certain leadership. At the end of the day, if you're better than the other ones and they know they're weaker, obviously they're gonna pass that way a lot more. So obviously they're gonna get more yards that way. I mean, I'm not saying they're not gonna try me, but if I'm locking this dude up all game, obviously they really ain't gonna throw my way because it's either gonna be a pick deflection or he might catch it. But at the end of the day, yes, there are
Mi-
certain leaderships that you
Mikey,
got to take.
I'm not sure what you mean. They gave up 205 yards. It was Josh Allen. Like that's a season low for him. I'm not sure. I like 205. That's you should be
But
hanging your hat. Hey, we said
hey, we
one
did
thing.
something.
Josh Allen ain't gonna beat us today. He ain't gonna throw for 400 over our heads. So
Yeah, he got a
I
point.
think
That's a good point.
allowing up little 205. They got 3 picks off him, and they injured him. So I mean, to me, then they got the win. So.
Right. And
Yeah,
a
so
big question was Brees Hall. Like, would they really be able to like produce without him? And I
I
think
think
so.
I think the longer James Robinson, I didn't agree with. They already had 1,000 yard rusher when the Jaguars drafted Travis Etienne last year. He broke his foot in preseason, didn't play the whole season. Obviously, Travis Etienne is a gifted dude. He played at Clemson with Trevor Lawrence, but I still think when you already have a position of strength like James Robinson being a 1,000 yard rusher, why draft another running back? It's kind of silly, especially in the first round. When when you suck and you need to draft at other positions like lines, linebacker, offensive line. So with that being said, I think the longer James Robinson is in that offense, he will continue to concede carries and be the lead back for them to kind of take over that. Right now they're doing a committee with him and Michael Carter, and it's about 50-50 snaps. But I think as the season goes on, James Robinson understands the offense, pass protection, schemes, things like that. He'll eventually get 60, 70, 80%, and he'll be getting 20 carries a game, 100 yards, and kind of fulfill that void left with Bryce Hall. It won't be 100% like that because Bryce Hall was him, but I don't. It'll at least alleviate some of that pressure and allow Zach Wilson not to feel like he needs to carry the team. Zach Wilson's very talented, like super talented. Like that guy can throw any ball on the field. He's gonna work on his decision making. It's his second offensive coordinator in 2 years. I get it. Um, and the receiving core for the Jets is continuously hurt, so you never get in continuity on who's going to be out there. Some weeks it's Moore, some weeks it's Corey Davis, some weeks it's Barrios. It's hit or miss.
oh
So
yeah, most
with
definitely.
that,
And say what now?
go ahead. My point's done.
Oh,
James
okay.
Robinson will somewhat fill that role with that Bryce Hall left.
Most definitely. On top of that, the Jets are kind of like every other team that don't really do too good very often. So I mean, don't get me wrong,
They don't know how to handle it.
they're playing good right now. But they're normally the same type of team to say, well, we got to draft a quarterback and hope he wins us a Super Bowl next season. Even though it's his first, it's only his second year and they're doing pretty solid. But I still think Sauce Gardner is him. That is him. So, I know that had nothing to do with the conversation, but I
Now,
still think.
here's something to wrap your head around. Zach Wilson was drafted second overall.
Oh yeah,
Justin Fields was drafted 10th.
yeah, he did fall in that
If
draft. I
Justin
remember.
Fields is on that Jets team, if
Yeah,
Justin Fields is on that Jets team, where are
they
we
are.
at?
Yeah, playoff contender. I believe so. But at the same time,
If they
I ain't even.
drafted Mac Jones, who at 15 overall at 2,
They probably could. I mean, he made the play. They're not doing too good this year. I mean, but they're doing solid. I mean, not great, but they did make the playoffs last year. I mean, yeah, they got their tails
yeah.
whooped by Buffalo, but they still made the
Well,
playoffs
I
last
mean, they didn't put that whole game.
year. Also, Bill Belichick's a great coach too. That's something also you got to take into consideration.
Yeah.
So, there's other factors that come into just being a good quarterback. It also takes good coaching because you can be the best quarterback in that draft, but if your coaching staff isn't the way that you need it to set up, or if they don't cater their offense around you, obviously you ain't gonna play up to your full potential because that's how you bring out a potential is the first season, like your rookies, like I was saying about the Steelers. What the Steelers need to do is find out Kenny Pickett's strengths, learn them this season, try some stuff, try new plays and all that other stuff, and then when next season come along, they have a better game plan to surround Kenny Pickett with what he needs to do to succeed in that division, because the AFC North normally it's a tough division. We ain't doing too hot this year, but normally it's a tough division.
I agree with you. Get Kenny Pickett comfortable, figure out what he's good at, get him ready for next season, and then draft another quarterback. That's the only thing they're doing, all right?
I mean, at the end of the day, drafting another quarterback wouldn't be the best idea, because then instead of building him up, you basically just throwing that man's confidence out the window. But at the same time, it might be a good idea to get another quarterback
No.
to have the to
No,
have.
I still feel like Mason Rudolph should have been starting.
Yeah, but I mean,
Hell
no,
no.
because he don't want to get hit with the helmet.
Not all season. I'm talking about over Trubisky. Trubisky shouldn't have had a chance, in my opinion, because Mason Rudolph knows the offense. He knew
Yeah,
it.
most definitely. But at the same time, obviously they had competition. But yeah, you're right. Maybe draft another young guy. Maybe Kenny Pickett would pay better if he realized, oh shoot, I might lose my dang
I'm
job.
gonna speak
At the
from
same time,
experience with Carson Wentz. Drafting another quarterback is not the answer. He's gonna play like trash.
I mean, yeah, or yeah, like you said, get another quarterback. That's probably what they did this year. But get another quarterback and show Kenny Pickett like, oh shoot, I might not have my job.
I
But at the
think
same time, it could go the other way. They could,
I think they're in
they
good
could
hands.
ruin his confidence. I
I
mean, yeah,
think
they are. Mike Tomlin's a good coach, if not one of the greatest of all times, also.
yeah.
So yeah, there's that. Hey, anyone trying to play some Madden? What's up?
I actually gotta play Brian. I seen he invited me the other day, but I was playing Ark. I didn't ignore. I was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was trying to invite. I was like, "Hey, what are we doing here? What are we doing? What are we doing?" And he
I
didn't
know.
accept it. I was like, "Well,
I was
I'll take
going
that as a
to, but
win."
time passed, and then it just one of them
I was looking at the
situations.
time. We had a good solid amount to talk
Yeah,
about
but
today. I mean, we
but
took over an hour.
yeah, yeah, we didn't really cover every like. Matter of fact, give me a second. My last question about the Jets were, since the Bills, Jets, and the Dolphins are all tied right now, how strong of a chance do you actually give the Jets to win the division?
I would give them the least amount, only because I think Dolphins will end up winning this division only for the simple fact that I'm scared to death about Josh Allen's injury to his elbow.
Yeah, it might not. It might affect his throwing
And
power and all that other stuff.
like, let's say they set him out the next 3 weeks or whatever. Uh, that like, they play good teams too. They play the Vikings this week, so I mean, like it's not like you're playing slouches. So I think that will provide enough cushion for Miami as long as they continue to do what they do until it doesn't get slammed to the turf to have just enough. And they've already beat them once, so at worst they're going to finish that split 1-1 against the Buffalo Bills. That the Dolphins have a good chance of winning that division. Now, if Josh Allen's healthy and he doesn't miss any games and he's still him, then Buffalo wins that division handily, at least by 2 games. But if he's going to sit out 3, 4, 5 weeks and just say, hey, we're not going to win the division, but nobody wants us to come into their town and beat them in the playoffs.
And then on top of that, if he does miss a couple weeks, you don't know how he's gonna be throwing his first game back, because it is an arm injury.
Yeah,
So,
because
which arm is it?
it's a sprain in your elbow. So if you take your right arm and you feel on your elbow that there's that tendon right there on the inside of your elbow, and that's what's sprained right now. And sprain is a fancy way of saying partially torn. So it's not like a pain tolerance thing. It's one of these days he's going to throw that ball, and it could happen on rep 104 or rep 4, and it's going to tear completely, and then he's fucked.
Right.
It's
Oh
going to be an
yeah, most
18-month surgery. So it's a fine line. If you're Buffalo, you're like, man, we just let you sit for a few weeks, maybe it heals, and we kind of just finish the season strong and maybe still win the division. If not, just beat everybody down, on
and on top of that, you don't
on
want
the
to put his
road.
career. You don't want to put his career at risk or this
It's
season
true.
at risk.
He's had the same injury in 2018
Yeah, so you don't want
on
to
his
put
throwing
anything.
arm.
Yeah, you don't want to put anything at future risk. So at the end of the day, I would sit him. You know, I mean, I know you might lose a couple games, but at the end of the day, it's better than ruining your franchise quarterback.
All right.
So,
So I'm gonna go ahead and move this all to like the questions. I'm only gonna ask three of them. We kind of, well, I might ask. I'm not gonna ask one because we pretty much answered with the Jets. But first one is because these are supposed to be quick questions. Who would
Imagine.
y'all say is your number one DB in the NFL today?
Mm. Take it away, Juan. What
Wait a
you
minute. Wait a
got?
minute. Wait a minute. Take it away. You just got it back, Tyler.
No, I got to think. That's a crazy question. I don't know.
Can,
Give me a
I'm,
second.
I think I already answered mine, but I will say it again. And as much as I hate, I know it ain't a Ravens. Don't worry, Marlon Humphrey's a great damn corner. But at the same time, because the stats are damn near entertaining. I mean, Marlon Humphrey still hasn't allowed a TD, but I'm gonna have to go with my boy Sauce Gardner. I told you he is him. Like, and the crazy thing, he's so young. So a lot of people, I mean, don't get me wrong, we all knew he was good coming out of college. But at the same time, that sometimes you can be good in college and go to the next level, and bust. It all depends on you. So I think I'm gonna go with Sauce Gardner.
well, I'm gonna be biased, and I could really pick any of them out of the equal secondary. But I'm picking C.J. Gardner Johnson.
Oh, so you're not picking?
I was gonna say
Why would I
Slay,
not pick the
Mikey.
interception leader?
I was going
Okay.
with Slay, Mikey.
Why would I not pick the Mr. Five INTs?
Yeah, like
You gonna say
y'all
Slay?
boys got a team this year is what it boils down to.
And it sucks because we can't really prove it against better teams because of our schedule, and that sucks. It really does. But
You will when you hit the
it is
playoffs.
what it
You
is.
play what's on the schedule. Don't let them talk to you.
Right.
You
I
play
still
who's
don't
on your
agree
schedule. You
with
can't
it,
control
us
how
being.
good or bad they are.
I still don't
At the
agree with us
same
being the
time,
2020 Steelers. Like they lose Watt and can't win nothing. We lose Jordan Davis and still come out against a top running back and do good. Decent enough.
yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I get it. You don't make the schedule. At the end of the day, every single one of those teams on your schedule has a chance to be good at the beginning of the season. Every team in the NFL has a chance to do good at the beginning of the season. So at the end of the day, yeah, you're right. You don't make the schedule, so you can't help it who you play.
Right. Brian, do you have a top DB? You got one right now?
Seriously.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yep, me too.
Yeah, like that.
That
Look,
dude's locked
like
down,
he
man.
is. He is because he's at the perfect age where he has been around enough to know instincts and tells and understanding coverages, but he's not too old to where his body has let him down. Like he's at that perfect ripe age where experience and talent come together.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Supreme in the
Yes,
chat, which is
sir.
Corey, by the way, guys. He said
What's up, Corey?
Buda Baker. He definitely a Cardinals fan though.
Okay, I didn't know Corey watched football. What's up,
He
Corey?
doesn't. He likes the Cardinals though.
Okay.
All right. So, what about who y'all think is the best quarterback and wide receiver duo right now?
I don't know about that. I'm
Again,
not
I'm
thinking.
gonna be biased. Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown are balling right now, but
Uh it's not a wide receiver, but I'll take Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey any day of the week.
Oh, I
I'll
like
take it.
that.
I'll count that. You can also go Tua and Tyreek Hill, but I mean,
That's what
really,
I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna
it's
say,
really a
Mike.
trio there, though, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wild
the first thing that popped in my head was Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, but Stephon Diggs sometimes gets cold. With
Yeah.
Travis Kelsey, he's gonna get the ball no matter what. Like it's 3rd and 4, he's getting the ball. Like
Like
that's it.
I can't remember which week it was. I'm gonna have to go with Brian on this because I can't remember which week it was. But Travis Kelsey only had like 30 something yards, but he still had like what 4 or 5 TDs.
He had 4 touchdowns, 25 yards.
Who's
Yeah,
So
that?
that
even
was
if
a good fantasy week.
yeah, so even if he's not going to get you the yards, he's still gonna get you some touchdowns.
Right.
Yeah, and he's just reliable. Like he's and he's still dangerous after the catch, even at 33. It's just they have so much chemistry together that
Yeah, they
like
played for
Jamar
what?
Chase and Joe Burrow, cool. I don't trust that offensive line enough. Uh, Stephon Diggs sometimes is cold.
Yeah, sometimes
Like
he only gives you
just
20
flat
yards,
out
and
is just cold.
yeah, sometimes he'll give you
Um,
20 yards, and next time he'll give you 100.
Cooper Cup is that whole offense, and I don't trust Matthew Stafford. So Completely different from last year where he was the Triple Crown. So yeah, I mean, it just boils down to who I like. Who strikes the most fear into me as a fan? Like I'm playing them. Like well, the Colts, believe it or not, this year beat the Chiefs, uh, and like it just came down. Hey, as long as we were able to get two bodies on Travis Kelce and kind of let everything happen, we kind of have a chance to really slow him down. So it
Yeah,
still was hard. He still caught a touchdown, but
that was
but
that was one of the
he
games I
didn't
didn't
go
think
off
y'all
for
should have
7
won.
catches, 114 yards, and a tud. Like
Yeah,
we made it tough sledding for him.
yeah, that was still one of the games y'all shouldn't have won. That was one of those games.
Yeah,
But y'all
exactly.
did.
All right. Next one is I'm gonna give my take on this one. But will the Eagles stay undefeated? Me personally, I think we're gonna lose three. I've said that from the beginning, and it's gonna be. I feel like the Cowboys game, one of the
The
Giants
Cowboys
games,
will
and
handle
it's
one.
either
Yeah.
it's. I think it's gonna be the Titans, man. The Titans. I feel like we're gonna give it to us, especially if we don't got Jordan Davis in there.
Okay, so I got a question with that. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're gonna stay undefeated, but at the same time, do you think they're gonna be a one and done team in the playoffs or a one and done team like next season? Y'all ain't gonna do it like y'all are this.
The good
So do
thing
you think?
is if we win the conference, we don't gotta play the first week.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
do you think they're gonna be one and done in the playoffs?
No,
Because like I said, at the end of the day, yes, you do not make the schedules,
there's
but
a chance.
yeah, there's a chance. Y'all might go and play, a top team, or the Vikings. Y'all played the Vikings. Y'all did play. Them. They are good this year. You cannot deny that. But
We still have one loss.
yeah. So
The
I
only
think
loss.
I think I do think they're gonna make the playoffs, and yeah, they got a really good case for Super Bowl run. But do you think that they're gonna be one and done, or do you
I
think?
think there's two teams that for sure I know can stop us, and the rest of them are just like obviously every team comes to play. You can lose any week, any given Sunday. But the two teams I think are really going to be the problem are the Vikings and the Cowboys. I mean, division games are always tough, and the Vikings they're playing good too.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I see them. Obviously they got a good case for Super Bowl run. I mean, maybe an NFC Championship. I see them
Hey,
going there.
I'm gonna throw something else in the mix there, Mike. Controversial take. Somebody's got to win the NFC South. Definitely going to be Tampa Bay. Tom Brady in the playoffs, bro. You'd be a fool to bet against him.
I
I'm
agree,
just saying.
but I feel like if he comes up on that game where he has to play Dak, I feel like Dak could give him a run.
Yeah.
Almost definitely. He almost pulled another great comeback last season against the Rams. I know we all seen that, but instead
Mm-hmm.
on the Rams' last drive, instead of playing deep, they were playing one-on-one coverage, and that's what screwed them.
Cooper Cup burnt him.
Yes, that is what screwed them because they were playing one-on-one coverage. I mean, I understand you want to get pressure. They were blitz. I think they blitzed on their last play. That one that Cooper Cup hit that third 50, 60 yard pass. Yes, I understand that you want to get pressure, but at the same time when it's that close and you have a chance to go to OT, I would play deep. I would play the safe route. I would rather give up 5, 10 yards in the whole freaking shebang.
I am scared of a great defensive line though because last year the Bucks played us in the first round and straight up blitzed every play, and we
That
had
was
no
an
answer.
ugly game.
We had no answer.
That was an ugly
It,
game.
it was, but their defense isn't that defense no more.
And Mikey, I think you'll finish 15-2. I'm looking at your schedule right now. I think
I
you lose to the Titans, and probably the Cowboys.
I
Yeah,
just
one of those boys games for sure.
like I said,
Because I mean, you may put up 60 points against the Colts on the 20th. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it up. I'm just gonna because Darius Slay is gonna get 3 interceptions, and for some reason, new offensive coordinator probably still won't give to John Taylor the ball for some reason. Uh, I don't know, man. It seems like everybody like I go on Bleacher Report and I go on the app and I go to the Colts and I go to the community where they're always talking about the game live and shit like that, and it's everybody understands that we need to run the ball except the one person who's calling the plays.
I tell you what, if Jordan Davis don't come back before Jonathan Taylor gets there, he's gonna have a field day.
So yeah, I think you guys finish 15-2. You'll have the number one seed. You'll have a first round bye.
which
and
we
then
want.
you probably play.
It is hard to play in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and then that's the thing. Like, I think it's gonna be hard for anybody to beat you, let alone in Philadelphia with all the with all the drunk Philadelphians. So
What are you doing in my yard?
All right, we kind of
I
already.
don't know if the world I don't know if the world can handle a Bills Mafia Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl. Like, I don't know if there's enough beer, alcohol, and tables to to withstand that.
I don't know.
Uh,
It'd definitely
Before
be a
we end,
fun one to watch.
before we end it, I do got one question, or two actually. Do you think? Now my first question is going to be: do y'all think even without Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs are going to be Super Bowl bound?
Yeah, they have a shot.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely, and I think so too. But here's another question too: is when Tyreek Hill left, obviously everyone didn't think they were going to do as good as they are. Do you think Hill needed Mahomes or Mahomes needed Hill?
They didn't need
It,
each
it,
other.
it was
Andy
just
Reid is the key. Andy Reid is the key here.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And then on top of that, obviously Tua does not. I mean, he's still doing good with Tyreek Hill, but obviously I've seen a lot of passes where Tua has underthrown Hill, and instead of hitting him stride, Hill has to come back. And with Mahomes, he never had that issue.
Here. So the reason why the Chiefs lost to the Bengals in the AFC Championship game, if you recall, the Chiefs were up 20-0 at half against the Bengals.
Yeah.
The final score, I think it was 21-20 or 24-20, and the Bengals won, obviously. And what happened? At halftime, they just said, you know what, Tyreek Hill is the key to their offense. So they literally bracketed him. And I know this coverage from back when the T.Y. Hilton days. T.Y. Hilton was eating people up. I mean, he was hotel, motel, Holiday Inn, freaking Hilton all the time. And the only team that could ever stop him was the Patriots, because they would just put a safety, like, no matter what. Like, normally a safety's going to have a zone and he's going to kind of backpedal. No, wherever they had two people behind him at all times, and that's what they did to Tyreek Hill. I think without having this big shiny toy in Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes said it himself going into the season. He goes, I'm sorry for the fantasy owners out there, but it's going to be a different person each week, because this week it may be Juju, next week it may be McCole Hardman, this week it may be Travis Kelce, maybe it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It allows him to kind of almost grow as a quarterback to, like, actually, hey, Tyreek Hill's down there, because you kind of have you kind of have a loud diva-ish wide receiver like Tyreek Hill. Obviously, he's talented. You want to give him the ball, but there's also that internal pressure. Hey, I got to get to him, otherwise he's going to be upset. And now he can just kind of go through his progressions, and whoever's open will get the ball now. And I
Oh
think
yeah,
it's
most
kind of
definitely.
it's made it more efficient. It's not as explosive, but it's more efficient.
And it also helped them improve as a quarterback. Like, hey, if they shut one guy down, I got more weapons to throw to instead
Yeah.
of I only have this one guy. And if they shut him down, obviously Kelsey was a big factor too. But if you shut both of them down, I mean, they really wasn't going nowhere. But now he can look at him and say, well, if you shut this guy down, I'll hit this guy on the other side.
Yeah. And if you look at it, like, Juju had 2 touchdowns last week and, 100 yards or something like that. But this week he'll probably have, 4 catches for 40 yards, and, that's about it. And, it'll be somebody else. And that's how you have an efficient. It's more efficient. It may not. You get one E or the other. You can be explosive or efficient. It's kind of hard to have both.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like I said, also it helps him improve. I mean, he was already a great quarterback, but it helps him improve more with
Yeah.
the progression. But anyways, yeah, that's pretty much all I have for now.
I do. I wanted to bring up these predictions. I like the way I did it because I all that like I can see and type all that who hit what. So pretty much everybody's 50-50 most of the way, then the same most of the way. But there's 2 weeks I want to look at. Brian, how do you not go with the Colts this week?
Look, we just hired a head coach that has that has never coached a day in his life.
That's what I call
Um, and traditionally, in a gamble, from a gambling standpoint, traditionally when you fire your coach in the interim coach, you'll almost always win that next game. I think it happened for the Carolina Panthers this year. They won that next game. It was
Yes,
weird,
sir.
right? I think they beat the Bucks, right? They had 21-7, right?
Yes,
That was that
sir.
game right after they fired Matt Rule.
Yes, sir.
And so traditionally there's a surge with like hey, we're gonna go with someone else. But traditionally, you know, since 1961, you hire from within. When you bring someone who literally was interviewing coaches when he landed in Indy on Monday on who's ever called a play here? Nobody. Okay, well we'll literally take the. I read this. I like to watch the Rich Eisen. I watch the Pat McAfee show every day. Like there's not a day I've missed in literally 2 years. So I get that perspective, but sometimes I'll get an outside perspective. So every morning when I'm getting ready, I listen to Rich Eisen show, and and then you kind of get more of a like nuanced approach to it. And Rich Eisen's pretty good at football and things like that, sports in general. But he's like, how do you hire someone who's this like the resume for this guy who's going to be calling plays for us on? It's just I have no faith. And I don't want them to win. Like I said, we're not going to win a Super Bowl. We're not going to go to the playoffs. So guess what? We need a top 5 pick. That's the only way we're going to get out of this whirlwind. That's legitimately it. And Jason gets on me all the time about how can you root for your team to lose? You're not a real fan. This, that, and the other. I'm like, I mean, that's why you guys haven't won a Super Bowl since '83, or since '72, actually. Well, I'm sorry, but like you guys had Dan Marino your whole career, they couldn't figure it out. Like you have to know, like being mediocre or just good enough to be, happy and proud to wear your stuff out in public without being ridiculed, which is where it's gotten to for me as a Colts fan. I'll still wear my shit. I don't care. No one's gonna, but I do get ridiculed for it. Oh, how can you be a Colts fan? This, that, and the other, and so being just good enough for that not to happen, but not win a Super Bowl is kind of a purgatory, to be honest, because you're not, you're never going to get over that hump. So I'd rather just take the L. Like this season's already lost. Might as well go ahead and make the most of it so we can continue next year with this good roster to be better. So
It's
yeah,
kind of
that's why I
like
chose the Raiders, and it's at home. The Raiders just let up a 17-point lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's at home. They're 2-6, win bad. So
yeah, and then on top of that, like you said, when it comes to like wearing and stuff, and you get ridiculed, man. I get caught a bandwagon. I'm like, man, are you a Lamar Jackson? They're like, are you a Lamar Jackson fan or a Ravens fan? And from the fantasy owners, y'all know I was a fan when we had Joe Flacco and Ray Lewis and all them. I've been a fan for a minute now, through the good years, the bad years. God, especially the 2015 to 2018 slump. Oh my God.
it was bad.
You should have seen people around me when we won our first Super Bowl.
Man, they're all like, like I get asked this question a lot, especially if like I post something like about the Ravens. I'm like, that's a lot. I'm like, are you a Ravens fan or a Lamar Jackson fan? Don't worry, I love Lamar Jackson. I like
We know.
him playing for us, and I hope we give him that money. But at the same time, I've been a fan for a minute now.
So are you going to pull a Peyton Manning situation here if he ends up signing with another team? That's your team or what?
No, I'm no wrong. I'm still gonna be a Lamar Jackson fan, but when Joe Flacco left, I like Joe. I even like how he started at the beginning of this year. I still pray good on them quarterbacks, or players that we once
Yeah.
had, and go to another team. So at the same time, I like Marquise Brown. I mean, I liked him with us. I mean, yeah, he had a drop.
You see, you have the exact opposite. I get angry at players that let leave and go do like Zach Pascal. We should never got rid of him, and he catches a touchdown every now and then for the freaking Eagles, and it makes me angry. D'Amico Autry was a pass rusher for the Colts. He averaged like 7 sacks a year. He's playing for the Tennessee Titans, and he gets a sack every year, and it pisses me off every single time. It's like why? Like he is a good player. I don't care how much you have to pay him. We're always top 5 in cap space each year. I'd rather just keep these solid, productive, good leaders kind of guys than save a couple
For the
pennies.
younger ones. Which don't get me wrong, I understand, why certain teams do it. Also it's the business standpoint. But at the same time, I still, don't get me wrong, it does irritate me when I see like a player that we had go to another team and do great and do good or whatever. Because at the same time, like,
It's
damn, why we
rare
get rid
for
of
me.
him?
It's rare. Like
Yeah. It's like why we get rid of him. Like I said, Marquise Brown was not a bad receiver. Now his consistency was a problem, and yes, he would have games or big time moments where he would have drop. But at the same time, he was still, I ain't saying he's elite, but he was still a solid receiver. The only problem is instead of putting him on the outside, number one, because he's also a smaller receiver, put him in the slot. So, yeah, but I also hope they go and do good at the same time. Like if Lamar Jackson does leave, if we are not able to come upon a contract this coming off season, I will still be a Lamar fan, and I'm also gonna be a Ravens fan no matter what. I'm black and purple till I die, baby.
What if he goes to Cleveland?
All right, hey.
I don't know about that one now. I don't know about that one now. You can't go to the
I don't
opposition.
know. I don't know if Cleveland can afford $230 million contracts.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think so either. They barely.
So I was gonna say you're not completely crazy for picking the Raiders over the Colts, because I definitely am the only one that picked Houston over the Giants right now.
Yeah,
But only because of how they played
Houston
against Philly.
could win.
I'm calling the upset on that one. Okay, that's my upset for the week. I mean,
I picked Indianapolis. I ain't even gonna lie.
Houston came out but Houston came out last week against us. They had nothing to lose. They were playing hard, and they had talent that really showed against us. I think you can bring them guys
they
in
play
this
hard.
week.
They play hard for Levy Smith.
I've been doing pretty solid in these predictions.
I just think the Giants are coming off a bye, so they've had extra time to get healthy and game plan against them. So,
like I said, I've been doing pretty solid against these predictions.
I'm also biased.
yeah, I completely. Yeah, trust me. You think I'd want the Texans to lose? I think they will lose. So, but I actually want the Texans to win because right now they only have one win, and right now they have the first overall pick. So
and y'all need it.
I need that. So you don't need you to win some more games, my guy.
And then you got Wanda, only one that chose Tampa Bay. He still don't want to bet against Tom Brady.
Hey, last week I bet it before Tom Brady, and I got it. The only time I bet it against Brady was when he played us because I know we were gonna win.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not betting with him this week against Seattle.
That's the old saying. You never go broke betting with Brady. So,
especially in the playoffs.
Every other pick's pretty either neck and neck or just 50-50.
But then again, y'all know I've been doing solid on my predictions.
Yeah.
11-4 this week. 11-4.
I hope Green Bay wins, but I had to pick Dallas just so I can get a win, like
I picked
point on my
Dallas.
Predictions.
Yeah, I picked Dallas. I think.
And then
Dallas was going to win by 20.
Yeah. Like earlier in the season, I said that Washington's next game would be one of our losses, but it's going to be in Philadelphia, and I don't think they're ready for that one.
Nope.
That's what I told Brandon all year. I was like, I've said your DB suck. Then got close to the game. I was like, y'all are not ready for the Eagles, especially with TJ Watt not playing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, that's all I got.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you for having me. I'm gonna go eat some food and get ready for work tomorrow.
True, I'm about to do the same.
Anytime, Captain.
Tyler, where were you at, man?
He was listening.
Anyways, hey, Mikey.
Man, I was just learning. I was listening.
It was interesting this week.
Oh yeah.